My name is Anna. I'm 28, and I work as a certified trainer at Power Infinite. I've been in this industry for 5 years now. Started as an assistant, and eventually built up my own regular class of clients. Most of my clients are women, ranging from their 20s to their 50s. They come for all kinds of reasons. Some want to lose weight, some want to tone up, some need to blow off work stress, and some just want a place to break a sweat. But no matter why they come, they trust me. I treat them like friends, not just paying clients. Power Infinite is one of the bigger gyms in the city, 3 floors, with a weight room, a cardio area, a studio, a spin room, and even a small pool. Lots of members, lots of trainers too. Everyone does their own thing, polite on the surface, but underneath it's cutthroat. Every trainer fights to keep their clients because renewals directly affect our pay and bonuses. I'm one of the more popular trainers. My classes are always full, and sometimes people are on a waiting list just to get in. I thought that was because my skills were recognized. I plan every session carefully, guide with patience, and never cut corners. My female trainees are fond of me because I tailor training programs to their physical conditions. Unlike some male trainers, I never make unnecessary physical contact with them. I've always believed that a gym should be a place where people feel safe and comfortable. Until 3 months ago, when I discovered something that sent a chill down my spine. It started with a client named Luna. Luna had been with me for 2 years. An elementary school teacher, early 30s, gentle and soft-spoken. Her fitness level was solid. She never slacked off. But around that time, I noticed something off about her.
Luna, Molly who stood next to her, Iris in the back row, and a newer client named Clara. All 4 had experienced dizzinesses, and all of them, midway through class, shortly after drinking water. Once that thought hit me, I couldn't shake it.
For 3 classes in a row, Luna would suddenly complain of dizziness halfway through the workout. Not the normal fatigue from overexertion. This was pale face, cold sweat on her forehead, unsteady on her feet. The first time, I figured she hadn't eaten lunch and was low on blood sugar, so I had her sip some sugary water in the rest area. The second time it happened again. I asked if she'd seen a doctor. She said yes, and that her blood sugar and blood pressure were both normal. The third time was worse. She was doing squats when she suddenly pitched forward. I rushed over and caught her.
Her eyes were closed, her lips white. I called her name several times before she slowly opened her eyes.
Anna, I'm so dizzy, it feels like I'm drunk.
I helped her sit down on the side and poured her a glass of water.
What's that taste?
I don't smell anything.
Maybe it's just me.
But a question mark nodded in my mind. That night after work, I sat alone in the office and thought for a long time. Luna wasn't the first client to experience dizziness in my class. I racked my brain 2 months. At least 3 other female clients had told me the same thing. Sudden dizziness. At the time, I chalked it up to them being out of shape or having an off day. But now I realized, they all happened during the same time slot. The last class of the day from 5 to 6 p.m. That class was all regulars, each with their own assigned spot and water bottle. I pulled out my roster and went through it name by name. I kept telling myself, no way, who would spike someone's drink in a gym? But another voice inside me told me I had to get to the bottom of this for the sake of my trainees who trust me. I decided to investigate. The next day, I showed up half an hour early. I placed a small camera in the corner of the studio, not aimed at the clients, aimed at the wall where they kept their water bottles. I only wanted to capture the bottle area. If anyone tampered with them, the camera would catch it. I know it's not proper to set up a hidden camera privately, but I had no other means to collect proof. I also did one more thing. I went to the pharmacy and bought water testing strips. These test strips detect residual substances in drinking water, and results show up in just a few seconds. I bought a box and kept it in my bag.
At 5 o'clock, the clients arrived one by one. Luna looked better than the previous week. Her color was normal. They placed their bottles on the shelf against the wall and started warming up. I taught the class while keeping an eye on that wall with my peripheral vision.
No one went near the bottle area. Everything seemed normal.
Break!
40 minutes into the session, we took a break. I pretended to rearrange equipment, walked over to the shelf, and quickly dipped a testing strip into the leftover water in Luna's cup. Within seconds, the strip changed color, pale purple. The instruction sheet said, pale purple indicates the presence of benzodiazepines, sedatives. My hands started trembling. I kept it to myself and carried on with the class. But my heart was pounding like crazy, and only one thought raced through my mind. Someone is drugging Luna. I didn't sleep well that night. This is what I found out after researching all night. Benzodiazepines are prescribed to treat anxiety and insomnia, yet they are frequently misused illegally as date rapes drugs. They can cause dizziness, drowsy weakness within minutes, and in higher doses, loss of consciousness. Someone has been drugging Luna, and not just once. They only slip a tiny amount each time so it won't arouse much suspicion.
Who was doing it?
I thought back, who had access to the client's water bottles? During class hours only my trainers and I are present in the gym studio. I couldn't have done it. It's highly unlikely any of the other trainers did either.
But before my class, this aerobic studio isn't only used by me. Another instructor holds class here until 5 a.m. right before my 5 o'clock session. That trainer's name was Ethan. He was around 30, fit, good-looking, popular with the female clients, but he always gave me a bad vibe, the way he looked at women like he was sizing up objects.
Correct your form.
I'd seen him use form correction as an excuse to touch female clients' waists and hips. People had complained, but without proof, nothing ever came of it. Could it be Ethan? I didn't tip him off. I needed more evidence. For the next 3 days, I arrived early every day with the testing strips in my pocket. Whenever the clients took a break, I'd sneak a quick check of the water in their bottles. The results made my blood run cold. Luna's bottle, sedative residue every single time. Molly's bottle, also positive. Iris's bottle, same thing. Not all at once but on rotation. Today Luna, tomorrow Molly, the day after Iris. The person spiking drinks doesn't want the same victim to suffer repeated incidents. He's casting a wide net.
My testing log was covered in pale purple marks. Every purple line is evidence, each one meaning a woman has been targeted. The more I saw, the angrier I got, but I knew the strips alone weren't enough. They could prove the water was drugged, but I needed to catch him in the act on camera. I repositioned the camera to focus squarely on the bottle shelf. Meanwhile, I submitted an application to the gym manager for temporary access control to the aerobic studio. Only the cleaning lady and I have the keys. The manager agreed. That way, at least I could rule out anyone entering outside of class hours. Now, all I had to do was wait. On the 4th day, the camera caught something. I came in early and checked the footage. Fast forward to 4 p.m. Ethan brought his class into the studio. 4 to 5, his session. At 5:02, his class ended and the clients filed out. On the recording, Ethan was the last to leave. He walked to the door, stopped, glanced back, then pulled a small vials from his pocket. He twisted off the bottle cap and quickly poured the liquid from the bottle into several water bottles. His movements were extremely practiced. I watched that clip 3 times. Each time, it made me sick. His motions were too natural, too fluid. This wasn't his first time. He'd done it countless racing. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palm. I wanted to charge in, confront him, call the cops, let everyone know he was a creep. But I held back. Because I knew the video alone wasn't enough. It showed him pouring something, but not what was in that vial. He could claim it was vitamin water, an energy supplement, protein mix, anything. I had to prove it was a sedative. I saved a backup of the footage and locked it in my drawer. I decided to do a swap test. Not an official term, just my own idea. Not official terminology, just something I came up with. Since he loved dosing other people's water so much, let him taste his own medicine, literally. I wouldn't dug him myself, that's illegal and against my principles. But if he confused his own cup with someone else's, that wouldn't be my fault. I bought a bottle of the same sedative online. Not to use, but to test something. I wanted to test this. If I swapped his water bottle with a client's, would he accidentally drink his own spiked water without knowing? I needed to see if his MO was consistent. Did he always target the same row of bottles? After a few more days of observation, I noticed he usually went for the row against the wall, farthest from the door, out of camera range. He always hit the same spots. A plan formed in my mind. Not revenge, just letting him reap what he sowed. If he collapsed during class, the medics would find sedatives in his system. The police would investigate, and I'd hand over all the evidence. That way, I wouldn't have to personally report him. The law would take care of it. I knew it carried some risk. But if I did nothing, those women would keep being drugged. And one day, the dose might be too high and someone would end up seriously hurt. I couldn't wait. The next afternoon, 4:20, Ethan's class started. I had my own clients warm up in the neighboring studio, then made an excuse about grabbing something and slipped into Ethan's room. The clients were all stretching with their backs to the door. No one noticed me. Ethan was teaching at the front, his back to the bottle shelf. I quickly walked to the shelf, took the 3rd bottle in the row against the wall, Ethan's own black sports flask, which I recognized, and swapped it with the pink bottle of the client next to it. Fast but calm. I took a breath, reached out, swapped them in under 2 seconds. The shelf looked the same, just the colors had traded places. His black flask was now in the client's spot and the pink bottle in his. I acted like nothing happened, walked out and went back to my own class. At 5:02, I waited in the hallway. Ethan's clients filed out, some chatting, some on their phones. Last came Ethan himself, looking normal, nothing off about him. He was holding a water bottle, his own black flask. Wait, I'd swapped them. He should have had the pink one. My heart dropped. He'd taken the black bottle. That meant he hadn't mixed them up. He knew his own bottle. So what about the pink one I'd moved? I walked back into the studio and checked the shelf. The pink bottle was still there, in the spot where the black one used to be. When he left, he'd grabbed the black one and didn't even touch the pink one. My plan had failed. I stood in the empty studio, holding the pink bottle, my mind racing. How did he recognize his own bottle? Because when he was dosing his clients, he had to make sure he didn't accidentally drink from a spiked bottle.
He must have marked his own bottle somehow, something only he could spot. I examined the black bottle closely and noticed a tiny strip of clear tape around the base, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. He'd marked it. My switcheroo hadn't fooled him. Because he never intended to drink the water he'd spiced during class.
He only drank from his own bottle, and he only put his own water in it. He dosed the client's bottles, but he never touched those cups himself. So the plan to make him swallow his own sedatives wasn't going to work. He wouldn't fall for it. What now? Go straight to the police? I had the video and the test strips, but the video didn't show what was in the bottle, and the strips could only prove the water had been spiked, not who did it. The chain of evidence wasn't solid enough. If he got a good lawyer, he could claim the bottle held vitamins and the test strips were contaminated. I needed him to admit what he was doing in front of someone else, or I needed to get a clear shot of what was inside that bottle. That night, I sat in the empty studio with the lights off. Only moonlight came through the windows. I sat on a mat, hugging my knees, and for the first time I wondered if I was out of my depth. I thought of Luna's pale face, how she'd nearly collapsed. If I gave up, who would keep investigating? Maybe no one. Maybe Ethan would keep at it, until one day someone got seriously hurt. I couldn't bear to imagine that outcome. I stood up, walked to the bottle shelf, and ran my hand over the cups. Behind every bottle was a woman, and behind every woman was a family. If I didn't step up, they might know the truth. They'd spend years wondering if something was wrong with their own bodies. I couldn't let that happen. I turned on the lights. The brightness made me squint, but it also cleared my head. The switcheroo had failed, but that wasn't the end. I could try a different approach. I went to the storage room and repositioned the camera to point at where Ethan stood during class. Then I checked my phone's storage, deleted some old photos, and made sure I had enough space for video. I decided that the next time he taught, I'd risk getting caught and walk past the studio door to get a close-up shot of the bottle in his hand. It was risky, but if it worked, the evidence chain would be complete. Anna, you've got this. I basically became an undercover agent. Every day at work, I kept my phone in my pocket, ready to shoot at a moment's notice. I knew Ethan's dosing window was during his 4 or 5 o'clock class, usually around 4:50, close to the end. At that point, the clients were exhausted, focused on their own workouts, not paying attention to him. I found a spot in the small storage room next to his studio. Through the crack in the door, I could just see the bottle shelf. Every day at 4:40, I'd hide in there and wait for him to make his move. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. Day 3, still nothing. I started to wonder if he'd caught on. But on day 4, he finally did it. He pulled a small brown bottle from his pocket, unscrewed the cap, and poured it into the bottles. I raised my phone, zoomed in all the way, and hit record. The footage was a bit grainy, but I could see the brown bottle and some text on the label. I zoomed in closer and closer. Still couldn't make out the text on the label. The storage room was too dim. I bit my lip and made a risky call. I opened the storage door, pretended I was just walking by, and hurried past the studio entrance. As I passed, I lifted my phone like I was checking a message, but I was actually hitting burst shot in his direction. He heard the movement and immediately shoved the brown bottle back into his pocket. I kept walking and didn't look back. But I knew I'd gotten the shot. It was only a second or two, but in that second, his face, the bottle in his hand, and his movements were all in the frame. I went back to my office, expedited the photos, and zoomed in. The text on the label was now legible. Dizazepine oral solution. Dizazepine, that's a benzodiazepine, a sedative. The bottle also had the manufacturer and lot number. My hands were shaking with adrenaline. That photo, combined with the earlier video, was enough to prove he'd carried a controlled substance and had been actively dosing the bottles. Instead of heading straight to the police station, I sent the photo to Officer Zhao. She replied quickly, "Got it, don't tip him off, we'll coordinate a move." The next day, Ethan came in like nothing was wrong. He had no idea his actions had been documented from start to finish, or that the police were already waiting outside. At 4 p.m., he walked into the studio again. At 4:50, he pulled out the brown bottle. This time, he never got the chance to put it back. The studio door swung open, and 2 plainclothes officers walked in.
Ethan, you're under investigation for using controlled substances to endanger the health of others. Please cooperate.
His face went white. The clients were terrified, clueless about what was happening. I stood in the hallway and watched them take him away. As he passed me, he shot me a look. It was a look of hatred, of defiance, and just a hint of disbelief. He probably never imagined that a female trainer would be the one to bring him down. After Ethan was taken, the gym exploded with gossip. Members were buzzing. Some said they'd always felt something was off about him, others claimed he was being framed, and a few asked me, "Did you know all along?" I didn't say much, just answered what the police needed from me. The police searched locker, found 3 bottles of dizadone, 1 bottle of clotrazepam, and a notebook. The notebook was filled with detailed records. Clients' names, their class times, the colors and positions of their water bottles. Luna, Molly, Iris, Clara. Next to each name, little check marks like a to-do list being ticked off. Every check mark was a dose given. At least 40 check marks in that notebook. That meant
Over the past 2 months, he drugged someone at least 40 times. 40 times. I thought of all the dizzy clients, of Luna collapsing in the locker room, of Manny nearly toppling over mid-workout. I stood in the police station staring at that notebook, completely speechless. Officer Zhao patted my shoulder.
Anna, you did a great job. If you hadn't kept at it, a lot more people wouldn't hurt.
How long will he get?
Based on the evidence, he's facing charges of using controlled substances to endanger others, probably 3 to 5 years. And we found his search history, things like that. We suspect he had more serious plans in mind.
My heart sank. When news of Ethan's sentence came out, the gym's management came under fire. The manager was fired for gross mismanagement and willful neglect of safety hazards. Headquarters sent in a new management team, a complete overhaul. The new manager was Miles, 40-something, formerly in hotel management. He didn't know much about fitness, but he was a serious guy. His first act on the job was to call me in for a meeting.
Anna, you're the whistleblower on this. On behalf of the company, thank you. We'd like to bring you on as a safety consultant to help us redesign our security protocols.
Sure, but I have one condition.
Name it.
The water bottle safety issue for female clients needs to be handled completely. My suggestions: 1. No bottles left unattended. Each client keeps theirs on them at all times. 2. 3. The gym full provides single-use sealed bottles, fresh one per session, no blinders in the spots, foot it with you when you leave, kept no remonths. Miles thought it over and nodded.
Agreed. Draft a proposal, and I'll sign it.
The new rules went into effect. They worked well. The clients found them a bit inconvenient at first, but once they heard about what Ethan had done, no one complained. They understood it was for everyone's safety. But I felt it wasn't enough.
I'd help the clients at this one gym, but what about other gyms? Other cities? There had to be more people like Ethan out there, lurking in the shadows, pulling the same crap. They chose gyms because people trusted the environment, let their guard. Women changed into workout gear, took off their jewelry, set down their phones and water bottles, and focused on their training. That state of relaxed focus was exactly what the bad guys exploited. I searched online for similar cases and found that Ethan wasn't the first and wouldn't be the last. All over the country, reports were popping up, drugging in gyms, in swimming pools, in yoga studios. Almost always the same. Target female clients slipped sedatives into their water bottles, then take advantage while they're too weak to fight back.
Some cases got exposed, others didn't. Some victims never even knew what happened, they just thought they'd had an off day. I decided to do something bigger. Around the same time, Luna started coming to me more often to talk.
Luna's recovery was slow. She started volunteering at my gym, helping organize equipment, welcoming new members. She said she needed to keep busy or she'd feel empty inside. I gave her some simple tasks, and she threw herself into them.
Anna, do you think I should see a therapist?
If you think you need it, go. There's no shame in it. She actually went. A few weeks later, she came back and told me her therapist had suggested she write down her experience.
My therapist said writing could help me sort through my emotions and show me how much I've grown.
After that, Luna started journaling. She didn't show me what she wrote, but I noticed her mental state slowly improving. Her face wasn't pale anymore. There was light in her eyes.
Anna, I want to become a therapist.
I asked why.
Because I don't want to be the only one who makes it out. I want to help people like me.
Good. I've got your back. Luna's decision really moved me. Everyone deals with trauma in their own way. Some stay silent, some speak out, some choose to help others. And I was making my own choice too. I quit my job, not because I hated Power Unlimited, but because I wanted to open my own gym. A gym designed exclusively for women.
From the equipment to the classes, from the trainers to the policies, everything built around women's safety. I told Miles about my plan. He didn't try to talk me out of it.
If you get it off the ground, come back and train us.
I spent 3 months preparing,
finding a space, renovating, buying equipment, hiring trainers, getting permits, doing outreach. The hardest part was finding a location. Downtown was too expensive. Out-of-the-way spots had no foot traffic. I looked at 7 or 8 places. Either the rent was too high or location was wrong. There was one spot I really liked. On the edge of the commercial district, decent price.
I talked to the landlord twice. We agreed on the price. Then the day before signing, he called and backed out. I asked why.
Someone made a better offer.
I knew who it was. The owner of a nearby gym who didn't want me as competition. Starting a business was way harder than I'd ever imagined. After that landlord bailed on me, it took me another 2 weeks to find a new space. It was a ground floor unit in an older neighborhood. Over 200 square meters, used to be a dance studio with high ceilings and good natural light. The rent was below a mark because upon hearing I was opening a women's gym, voluntarily lowered the price. But then the renovations hit a snag. The construction crew dragged their feet. What was supposed to take 1 month stretched into 2. I was there every day yelling myself horsey. To make things worse, someone started leaving bad reviews online. Not since it wasn't even open yet. The reviews came from was sexist and asked us how you let men in. I knew someone was trying to sabotage me. I looked up the account, no real info, but the IP address traced back to our city. I didn't respond to the reviews. I just quietly made our safety protocols even better and more transparent. On opening day, over 20 clients showed up. Most of them were my former clients from Power Unlimited. Luna came, Maki came, Iris came. They said, Anna, wherever you open, we'll follow. I looked at them, and my eyes got hot. These women, some had been drugged, some had been harassed, some just wanted a safe place to break a sweat. They chose to trust me, and I wasn't going to let them down. I named the gym HerSpace. Simple name, but it said everything I wanted it to: a space for women, safe, comfortable, free. On the wall by the door, one sentence: your safety is our first rule. On opening day, I stood at the door and watched the women walk in. I felt at peace.
Luna was the first to buy an annual membership.
Anna, I'm not just doing this for the workout, I'm here because I feel safe.
Molly was second. She was a mother of 3 who rarely spent money on herself. My husband told me to come. He said women need their own space too. Iris was third. She worked a high-stress corporate job and came to the gym to unwind.
After what happened, I was scared to go to any gym for a while. But you opened this place, so I'll come.
I knew they weren't just coming for muscle tone or weight loss. They came because they trusted me. That trust weighed more than any contract. I made a silent vow to run this place right, to deserve every ounce of trust they'd given me.
In the first month after HerSpace opened, I put strict safety protocols in place. Each member picked up a single-used sealed bottle at the front desk, with tamper-divestive seals on the lid. Only the member themselves could break the seal and drink from it. During class, bottles could be placed in designated spots within their line of sight, never out of view for more than a minute. If they had to step away for any reason, they had to hand their bottle to the front desk first. Both the studio and the locker rooms had emergency call buttons. One press sent alerts to both the front desk and the trainers' phones. I spent a lot of time training my coaching team, not how to build six-packs, but how to read their client states, spot red flags, and protect them in emergencies.
I told them about Ethan, and about all the similar cases I'd read about online. They listened intently. Some eyes welled up, some clenched their fists.
We're not letting that happen again. Yeah, we're gonna make this the safest place on earth.
I looked at them and felt hope. 3 months after opening, I ran into an unexpected challenge. A male client wanted to sign up. He said he'd seen our ads and liked the facilities. He wanted to work out here. I told him this was a women-only gym, and we didn't accept male members. He got upset and called it sexist. I didn't want to argue. I just pointed to the words on the "your safety is our first rule." Sir, our rule is about women's safety. It's not about discriminating from men. It's about protecting women. Please understand, and walked off. After that, I got a few bad reviews accusing HerSpace of stirring up gender war. I felt a bit wronged, but I didn't regret it.
Because I knew that without that barrier, the women who'd been hurt before wouldn't walk through our doors. They needed a space that was complete, absolute, and completely safe. No reservations, no worries.
Anna, don't mind those people. They don't get it.
You're doing the right thing. Gender isn't the problem. The problem is some people don't know how to respect others. My client support strengthened my resolve.
6 months later, HerSpace had over 300 members. We moved to a bigger space and added a yoga room and a Pilates studio. I also brought on a nutritionist for dietary guidance. But the most popular offering wasn't the new facilities, it was the safety talk. Once a month, I invited lawyers, cops, and therapists to give talks covering personal safety, legal rights, mental self-defense, everything. Women Talk was together, listening to a lawyer explain how to preserve evidence after being drugged, a cop explain what to do if you're being from trauma. After each session, they'd gather in small groups to talk, sharing their own stories and feelings. Some cried, some laughed, some held each other's hands. In that moment, I knew what I was doing was so much bigger than just running a gym. We were building a community, a network of women supporting and protecting each other. After one talk, a woman I didn't know came up to me. She said her name was Margaret, and she worked for the city's Women's Federation. She'd heard about HerSpace's safety protocols in the talks, and she thought they were incredibly meaningful. She wanted to partner with me to roll out women's safety education across more communities.
We run Domestic Violence Awareness Week and Women's Safety Month every year, but the impact has been limited. People see them as formalities, too abstract. But your approach is different. You start from real-life situations: the gym, the water bottle, the drugging, details that feel real to women. Could you help us design a training program?
I said yes. Not because I wanted fame, but because it was a chance to spread safety awareness to more people.
I called the program Visible Safety. It covered how to spot suspicious behavior in public, how to protect your food and drink, how to get help fast in an emergency, and how to preserve evidence afterward. The course wasn't boring theory, it was all case studies and hands-on practice. I'd hold up a water bottle and demonstrate how to check the seal, how to use a test strip. I'd run simulations of what to do if someone's following you, go somewhere crowded, yell for help, call the cops. The program was rolled out in over 20 communities across the city, and the response was great. We used to think safety was the cops' job, now we know it's our job too. Margaret was thrilled and wanted to nominate me for a Provincial Women's Safety Ambassador Award. I turned it down. I'm not an ambassador, I'm just a fitness trainer. I did what I had to do.
Luna earned her therapist certification. She came to see me that day with her certificate in her hand, tears in her eyes.
Anna, I did it. I knew you could. I want to offer counseling services here, for free, for the members who've been hurt.
Of course, I'll set up a room for you. From then on, Luna came to HerSpace every Wednesday afternoon and saw clients in a small room. At first it was just 1 or 2 people, but soon the numbers grew. Luna told me that many women looked strong on the outside but carried abused, some harassed, some cheated, and betrayed. They didn't dare tell their families, afraid of being blamed. They didn't dare call the cops, afraid there wasn't enough proof. But with Luna, they opened up.
Because I've been through it too. They know I get it.
One day, Luna showed me her journal. Just one page, not the whole thing. Today a member cried for 40 minutes. She said it was the first time anyone had really listened. I cried with her. Anna, you know what? When I help others, I'm healing myself too.
Things seemed to be moving in the right direction, but there was always a knot in my chest. Ethan was still in prison. 3 years. After 3 years, he'd be out. Where would he go? Would he go back to his old ways? Would he come after me? I didn't know. But I knew I couldn't stop what I was doing because of fear. If I stopped, he done. I started sharing HerSpace story on social media, not to promote the gym, but to make more people aware of this kind of danger. I wrote posts about how to protect yourself, how to spot danger, how to seek justice after an assault. If I stopped, he won. Every post got comments. Some said thank you for telling us this. Others said I went through something similar. I said, aren't you two just spreading fear? I didn't care about the negative comments. All I cared about was that if even one person avoided danger because of something I wrote was worth it. One comment stood out to me. A girl wrote, Anna, I'm in college. One time in the library, I went to the restroom and dumped it off. I didn't trend said I was overreacting. I know I did the right thing. Thank you. I replied, you did the right thing. Always trust your gut. If something feels wrong, don't drink it. You can't do a dangerous situation. That reply got thousands of likes. I knew my voice was being heard. A year later, HerSpace opened its second location. It was in the eastern part of the city, a growing residential area. The design was the same as the first: clean, bright, warm. The same words were on the door: your safety is our first rule. On opening day, Margaret from the Women's Federation came to cut the ribbon.
Anna has changed our understanding of women's safety with just one. Safety isn't a slogan. It's about every glass of water, every detail, every person. I hope more HerSpaces appear.
My eyes got wet.
Not just from emotion, but because I remembered my original self. The one who shook when the test strap turned purple. The one who hid in the storage room to film. The one who quit her job with no idea what the future held. I never set out to be a role model. I just didn't want to see anyone else get hurt.
After the second location opened, we launched a new service: water bottle safety test kits. Every new member got a free kit containing 2 test strips, a sealable bag, and a card with instructions. The strips detected traces of common sedatives. The bag was for preserving one's water account said. The contact a trainer or call the police.
The kit didn't cost much, but it was practical. Many members kept it in their gym bags. Some even took it on trips. Anna, aren't you worried someone might misuse these kits? Like falsely accusing someone? It only detects the drug. It doesn't say who put it there. If someone wanted to make a false accusation, they'd need more than a test kit. They'd need a scapegoat. Everyone laughed, but I knew trust went both ways. That's my mentors who abuse it just like they trusted me. By year 3, HerSpace had 5 locations. We had over 2,000 members. The coaching staff had grown from just me to over 30, all women. They came from all kinds of backgrounds: retired athletes, sports science grads, even former clients we'd helped. Every trainer went through rigorous safety training before they were allowed to lead classes.
I rarely taught classes myself anymore. My job had shifted to management, training, and public speaking. But once a week, I still made time to go back to the original location and teach, not for the money. To remind myself why I started this in the first place. That feeling of sweating and breathing hard alongside my clients, it grounded me more than any award ever could. Luna had officially become our in-house therapist, and she was booked out 3 months in advance.
Anna, I'm running out of hours.
Then let's hire another therapist. Our mission needs more people.
One day, a young woman showed up at my office. She looked about 20, with a ponytail, a backpack, and a nervous expression.
Anna, my name is Winnie. I'm a journalism student. Could I interview you for a piece on HerSpace?
I agreed. She sat across from me, pulled out a recorder and a notebook, and asked me a ton of questions.
About Ethan, about how HerSpace got started, about my views on women's safety. I answered everything, no holds barred. At the end of the interview, she closed her notebook, looked me in the eye, and said something I'll never forget. Anna, my best friend was drugged too, at a bar. She never found out who did it, and she didn't know how to get justice. She was depressed for a long time. If someone like you had been there for her, maybe things would have turned out differently.
How is she now?
Better. But she never goes to bars anymore. After Winnie left, I sat in my office for a long time. How many Luna's best friends were out there in the world? I didn't know. But I knew I couldn't let them keep getting hurt one by one. After Winnie's article was published, several other outlets picked it up. The headline read, 3 years of 2,000 women. The piece was objective, no exaggeration, no sensationalism. It just laid out what had happened and what HerSpace stood for. After the article came out, a lot of people reached out to me. Some said, Anna, you're a hero. Others said, I want to join your gym too. A few even said this story should be a movie. I'm not a hero. I'm just an ordinary person who refused to stay silent. Every day, there are people like Ethan out there doing terrible things in the shadows and people like Luna crying in the dark. I can't be everyone's savior. but I can light up one small space so that the people who walk into it don't have to be afraid. The fifth location opened in an unusual place, the city's women's prison. Not a real gym, but a partnership program. We made an agreement with the prison authority to send trainers in regularly for fitnesses and structuring for female inslate. Many of the inmates had physical mental issues. Long-term confinement had atrophied their muscles and crushed their spirits.
Exercise helped them regain physical function and relieve stress. The first time I went, I was nervous. Iron gates, high walls, guard towers, everything was suffocating. But when I walked into the exercise yard and saw those women in their identical uniforms, I saw the same longing we all have. They wanted a normal life too. Thank you for coming. I thought people on the outside had forgotten us.
No one's forgotten you. You're women too. Her tears fell.
After that, either I or one of my trainers went to the prison once a month. We taught them basic stretching, yoga, and strength exercises. They learned with more focus than anyone I'd ever taught on the outside. Maybe because in that place, exercise was one of the few freedoms they had. After the session, we'd sit and talk.
They'd tell their stories, how they ended up there, whether they regretted it, whether they still remembered the world outside. One woman had killed her abusive husband and been sentenced to 15 years.
I don't regret killing him, but I regret not calling the police earlier. If I'd learned how to protect myself sooner, maybe it wouldn't have come to this.
What do you want to do when you get out? I want to come to your gym, not to work out, to tell other women not to end up like me.
I'll be waiting.
Luna went with me once. She wrote a long journal entry when she got back, but I didn't read it. Anna, what we're doing, it really matters.
Time flew by. Before I knew it, 2 years had passed since Ethan was arrested. One more year, and he'd be out. Sometimes I'd think about him, and that look he gave me. I didn't know if he regretted anything, or if he'd reflected at all in prison, but none of that mattered anymore. What mattered was that in those 4 years, my team and I had provided a safe space for thousands of women. So many of them had become stronger, more confident, more powerful. They weren't afraid to go to the gym anymore. They weren't afraid to drink water in public. They weren't afraid to walk home alone at night. One of our trainers now was a former client who'd been drugged. Anna, you sent the person who hurt me to prison, but what you don't know is that you also set me free from the prison in my own mind.
I never felt like I'd done something great. I was just doing what needed to be done. Luna was right. When you help others, you heal yourself too.
Today marked Luna's 2nd year as a therapist. She'd seen over 100 clients at HerSpace. Most were women, but there had been some men too. They weren't there for the gym, they were there for help. Luna saw everyone, regardless of gender. She said pain doesn't discriminate, and neither does safety. She showed me a journal entry. This time, she handed it to me herself. It read, I'm looking at it seriously. I handed the journal back and hugged her.
Luna, you've grown. You helped me grow. In year 5, HerSpace received the city's Women's Public Service Innovation Award. At the award ceremony, I stood on stage, holding the trophy, and spoke to a crowd of hundreds.
This award isn't for me. It's for every woman who had the courage to say no. It's for the ones who reported crimes, for the ones who testified in court, for the ones who held each other up in the dark. We don't need to be heroes. We just need to be each other's light. The applause went on for a long time.
Luna was crying her eyes out in the audience. Molly held her and patted her back.
I didn't cry. I smiled. Because I knew the sun would rise again tomorrow. Our gym would open its doors, and more women would walk in, to find strength, to find safety, to find each other.
After the ceremony, a middle-aged woman walked up and handed me a note. It had a name and a phone number on it.
My name is Natalie. I was drugged too, but I never had your courage. I read your story, and I just want to say thank you.
You can find that courage too. It's never too late.
Today, HerSpace has become a brand in the city. We partner with dozens of communities to promote the Visible Safety program. We work with over a dozen schools to provide safety education for female students. We collaborate with 3 hospitals to offer free medical assistance to victims. I couldn't have done all this on my own, but a team can. That team includes former victims, dedicated volunteers, professional trainers, and people from all walks of life willing to lend a hand. We share one goal: to make every woman feel safe, no matter where she is. The day Ethan was released, I didn't go, but I looked up his information. He didn't come back to this city, he moved away. His probation terms barred him from working in any field involving close contact with women. If he tried the same thing elsewhere, I believe someone else would step up, just like I did, to expose and stop him. Because this world doesn't have just one Anna.
Anna, do you regret it? Standing up back then?
No, I only regret I didn't find out sooner.
Same here.
Today is HerSpace's 5th anniversary. All 5 locations held celebrations at the same time. At the first location, the place was packed. Old clients, new members, trainers, volunteers, people from the WIN's Federation, the journalists. On the walls hung photos, the first talk, the first test kid, the ribbon cutting at the first branch.
Luna stood on stage, speaking on behalf of the members.
5 years ago I collapsed right here. 5 years later I'm standing here, healthy, confident, and strong. Anna taught me that a woman can be hurt but she can never be broken.
Her voice trembled a little, but it was steady.
Today I want to read a journal entry, one I wrote 5 years ago. She pulled a piece of paper, folded many times from her pocket and slowly unfolded it.
To the gym again today. Halfway through the class, I got so dizzy. Anna helped me sit down and got me water. I don't know what's wrong with me. The doctors can't find anything. I'm so scared. I'm scared it's some weird disease. I can't tell anyone. I don't want them to worry. Mom called and I pretended to be happy. After I hung up, I cried. I don't know how much longer I can keep going.
The studio was silent except for Luna's voice.
Today, Anna told me someone had been putting drugs in my water. It wasn't a sickness. Someone was hurting me on purpose. First, I couldn't believe it. Then I got angry. Then I got scared. She asked if I'd testify and I said yes, because I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through.
Luna's voice began to shake.
On the day of the trial, I saw Ethan's eyes. He wasn't looking at me, but I saw him trembling. He was scared. I thought, so even the bad guys get scared, then let's make sure he stays scared.
In the audience, some clients started wiping their eyes. Today was my first day as a therapist. My first client was a college student just like me back then, who'd been drugged. She said she felt dirty. I told her you're not the dirty one, he is. That's what Ah told me back then. Now I'm telling others. 5 years later I finally understand. Some wounds never go away, but they can turn into strength. Luna finished reading. She folded the paper and put it back in her pocket. The applause from the audience was thunderous and unending. Walked up on stage and stood beside Luna. I looked at her, she looked at me, and we both smiled.
5 years ago, I opened a small gym to make sure no one else had to go through what we went through. 5 years later, I know this gym has so much more than a gym. It's a symbol, a sign. It tells every woman you deserve to be protected, you deserve to be respected, you deserve a safe place to sweat, to get stronger, and to become the best version of yourself.
So let's raise a glass to the next 5 years and to the many more after that. Cheers.
Everyone raised their water bottles. Every bottle had a timber of evidence seal. Every bottle was safe. Sunlight streamed through the windows, landing on those bottles, sparkling like stars.
Anna, what do we do in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, we take HerSpace to more cities, so more women have a safe place to go.
Good. I'm with you.
I looked at all the faces in the crowd, some familiar, but they all had something in common. Light in their eyes, light of trust, light of hope, light of safety. 5 years ago, I was alone. 5 years later, we are a crowd. Thank you every single one of you. Because of you, I'm never fighting alone. The applause rose again. I raised my bottle. The sunlight passed through the clear plastic and fell on my face. Warm. Bright.